Not a lot of people understand how the legal system works, but the process itself is a punishment. The day I was arrested, all of my bank accounts were frozen. All of my cars were seized.
That's scary, dude.
Yeah, all of my cars were seized. All of my diamond watches were taken. $900,000 in cash was taken. Gold bars was taken. All of my value was taken, right? So since January, technically, I haven't had access to a dollar. It's now been a year, and I don't have a penny, according to DCAW and the Romanian legal system.
So you still don't have your stuff back?
No, of course not. So this is my point.
Why are you still here?
Well, I can't leave.
But, okay, are you going to leave once you can? Because I feel like they just proved that you can't speak here either.
Well, that's the thing that's scary. If you can't speak here, which is the most Christian country on earth. You know, Romania, outside of Vatican City, is the most Christian country on the planet.
98%, and then the other two are like a different denomination of Christian.
That's right. Most Christian country on the planet. That's a really interesting question, which we'll talk about, actually. But everything you said about depression is super true. And Robin Williams, his mistake is that he went to a therapist who confirmed his bias, confirmed he's depressed. They then sat there and talked about being depressed 3 times a week for 2 hours a day. Then they put him on mind-altering drugs to make him feel better. And after 9 years of therapy, he jumped off a building. If I were to take mind-altering drugs and talk about being sad all day, every day, I'd probably jump off a building too. So it's absolutely the wrong thing you can do. And I want to make a point here, because when I talk about depression, people always defend it. I said this. I was having a conversation with somebody.
By the way, hold on. Defending what? You have depression. I have depression. But we don't sit around fucking moping about it.
But the depressed people do. This is the interesting.
So you can't get mad at us for not going in the motion that you want to go about. You're trying to say that you're getting mad at me for saying that I don't sit in my depression.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that depression doesn't exist. I'm saying that I'm not giving it flowers. Everything is a mustard seed. Yep. But the origination of slave was like a debt. I'm paying you a debt.
Yep. Yeah, completely. So let's look at even American slavery, the slavery that most Americans understand. You're going to work for me. I'm going to give you a house, and I'm going to give you food, and you're going to stay here, and you're going to work. You're going to work for me. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you some money, and that money is enough to only buy you a house and some food. Now, if I can make you do whatever I want for money, and I can print as much money as I want, you're my slave. Because I can print it from the sky, and you need it to live. You asked a question earlier before we got down this point when you said, has money made me happier or made me more anxious? And the answer to that is both. I think that you're certainly anxious when you have an empire because you understand how difficult it is to maintain, especially in my position, right? I've been hit by DCAW and FBI and all these huge federal agencies that are trying to take everything I've ever worked for.
And from your loved ones that you're leaving.
And from my loved ones, all the money I've ever made. It's actually a very difficult, precarious situation to be in. And even if you ever get to the position where you pay yourself $500,000 every single morning, you get concerned with, am I still going to be able to do this? Then the money ain't making you happy. You're working so hard to make sure you'll always be able to pay yourself that money that you don't even spend, that you don't even need.
That's the pride thing I was trying to tell you about.
Of course.
So
but this is how you hold on to things.
And it's a stomach that keeps needing.
It does keep needing. You're completely right. But that's also how there's no light without dark. The stomach keeps needing. Completely agree with you. But that's also how I managed to propel myself from here to here. Money's not everything, but it's a nice, easy way to measure because it's numbers. And then when you understand it's the time and energy of other people, you sit and go, okay, well, I have this large empire now, and I have all these people who work for me, and all these people I love, and all these people I care about, and all these children, and all this going on, and the world is getting more and more messed up, and everything's on a decline, and everything's being destroyed, and a certain number of people are going to become useless eaters, are going to be eradicated, and they're going to try and lock us all in our 15-minute cities for the climate or some garbage. That's coming in no time. How do I combat and fight all of this and protect all the people I care about? Well, I need the time and energy of others. I need an army, so I need money. So you start waking up saying, okay, 1 billion is shit, Tristan. And he's like, Andrew, we're from a single mother household and our company got valued at $1.2 billion and you own 100% of it. No, we need at least 10. And then then I get mad. And my stress comes from the fact that I don't have enough. But is it for me or is it for just being able to care about all the people I care about? I think you fight that via masculine empowerment, and I'll tell you why. Because we were just sitting here talking about how the devil uses fear, and you're completely correct. And I think that women are easier to scare than men. And I think that now we live in a society, especially in the West, where women have been empowered to the point, well, I'm not against female empowerment, I'm not a misogynist, but they've been empowered to the point where they're more powerful than men in most scenarios. They're more powerful than men in the divorce court, most powerful than men in the custody court, more powerful than men in terms of the education system, more powerful than men in terms of their testimony, more powerful than men. I'll give you endless examples. If 10 men get murdered, nobody cares. If 10 women get murdered, it's going to be a national news story for weeks. Their life is more valuable. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be. It always has been because they can create life. My point is we now live in a society which I believe is a matriarchy. It's feminized. And men are feminized by extension. And now you start to understand, that's how the matrix operates. So the people who are broken, raised on money, are so obsessed with power and control, which explains a lot of the society we're in, because they don't look up to God. These people think they are God. So
that's the biggest fall.
And they're trying to make robots of us all. They're trying to enslave us.
I you know what bothers me more than anything is when I walk into an establishment and the person who's working is like, go to there, and they point at a machine. They have money.
They print money. They are the money.
I just learned about how they print money. I literally could not believe it.
Money's not real.
For 3 days, I'm sitting around, so I'm like, what the fuck is this? So they could just print this shit?
Money is not real. It's not real. They just print it. It's not real. So money's not real. And I say that to people. And they
so
go,
it's not about money.
No, it's not about money. So what's it about? It's about power and control.
They have money.
They print money. They are the money.
I just learned about how they print money. I literally could not believe it.
Money's not real.
For 3 days, I'm sitting around, so I'm like, what the fuck is this? So they could just print this shit?
Money is not real. It's not real. They just print it. It's not real. So money's not real. And I say that to people. And they
so
go,
it's not about money.
No, it's not about money. So what's it about? It's about power and control.
Have you ever watched something on TikTok or Instagram and then all day you're just thinking about it and you're like, this motherfucker can't leave my brain, dude.
Yeah.
I am now limiting myself on what I'm absorbing.
Bro, I don't talk. I want to make this very clear. One of the best things about money is I've managed to create my reality absolutely. I don't talk to anyone I don't want to talk to. If you come to me and say, we can make $100 million, but I don't like your shirt, then you can get fucked.
How do you get in the way of that? So you want to be the Superman of this generation.
It's not about me. It's not about me trying to be the Superman, because I'm not that arrogant. It's just about me understanding what I know is going to happen and feeling like if God has given me a platform which people listen to me, I should at least tell the truth of what's going to happen. But I'm just talking about it from a societal perspective. I'm making an overall societal observation, the fact that now we have monogamous societies, but because they're not truly monogamous, all of the desire is being outsourced towards degeneracy, as opposed to having a society where a man is allowed more than one wife, for example, and then the degeneracy isn't needed. You don't need pornography and you don't need prostitution if you're allowed to have 2, 3, 4 wives if you're successful.
How is there so much garbage in the world that is legitimately evil? Let me give an example. I don't think any man or woman should ever have the right to have their voice be taken. And you could talk about it. You have every right to say that. How is it even allowed?
So we go down this path where we talk about how
is the mass not seeing that? That's a huge problem.
And this is why I talk about the fact that I'm afraid of assassination. If I have huge control over the masculine youth, which the Matrix fear, I'm banned from schools. I'm discussed in UK Parliament as a problem. You just said terrorism. Do you know what happens once you're deemed a national security threat? Every app on their phone taken away from them, their passport seized, thrown in a cell, and then taken out of that cell, locked in their house for 5 months, and then even when they're allowed out of the house, they still don't have $1. How do you pay the rent? How do you pay the bills? How do you feed people? And this is what's actually interesting, because when I was in jail, my number one concerns were not for me. My biggest concerns when I was in jail was for everyone I care about.
Let me make sure you get paid.
Do you need this? Do you need that? I just spent all my time trying to look after other people from a prison cell with seized bank accounts.
Did you think you were going to come out?
No. I thought I was there for a very long time. I thought I was stuck. I thought it was over. I was sitting there talking to people who were there, been there for 4 years without trial, my friend. Everyone around me had been there for years without trial.
When you were put on house arrest, was there any moment that you cried from like happiness?
And day one of COVID, when everyone else was afraid, we flew to Sweden because it was the only open country. And we spent the next 4 months, next 4 months in Stockholm, in 6 nights a week in nightclubs with Swedish chicks, partying while the rest of the world was locked in their house. You could do whatever you wanted. Nightclubs were open. Everyone was partying. We were literally in parties all day, every day. I didn't even get sick. Didn't even get cold. And it was cold outside. Didn't even get the sniffles. So we beat COVID. We won COVID early. So even after this experience, for the next 2 years of COVID, I'm trying to scream at people, listen, wake up. And like, oh, yeah, they wouldn't just put it on the news. You know, you say conspiracy theorist. Nowadays, that just means you're ahead of the curve, unfortunately. And Alex was talking about, and a lot of other people talking about, and there's a lot of text which talks about the fact that the people who are in charge of the world, they believe that as AI improves, a huge percentage of the planet are going to become useless eaters. All the things they push, all the standardized mechanisms that a man's supposed to live his life by, I believe lead to crippling depression and sadness anyway. So this war is twofold. You can either fight against the system and be its enemy like I am, or you can accept the system and then you're going to be fighting against yourself in your head, because now you're your own enemy, because you listen to the system and you hate yourself and you hate your life. Every single part of me is on my team. I've got every single weapon at my disposal. I say, you're in the war too. You're just going to be a casualty of it. You're going to be a forgotten name. Not even a name. You're going to be a number. In wars, it's interesting. In wars, if you look at any war, they'll talk about 12,000 people died here. And one of them was this guy. There's names and there's numbers. So if you're going to go to war, you can decide, do you want to be a name or a number? Because people are going to die. People are going to die regardless. Okay. When I'm sitting there and saying to men, look, life as a man is shit. It's always been shit. It's never been good. When men wake up and say, I'm depressed and life is hard and I'm sad and I'm struggling right now, I say, okay, throughout history, men have always struggled. Happiness is for children and women. Name a time in history it was better to be a man. Was it better to be a man in World War II? Was it better to be a man on the Titanic? Was it better to be a man in the Napoleonic Wars? Was it better to be a man when you were sitting in Vienna and the Mongol horde arrived, ready to decapitate any male and enslave all the females? When's it ever been good to be a man? Building the pyramids, was that fun? It's always sucked. The only time being a man ever is good is if you become an exceptional man, which is even something feminists admit. Because feminists sit and complain about men and say, well, men have this, men have that. But they're talking about 2% of men.
Fascinating.
They don't talk about all men. They say men have the best jobs. So if I do a podcast, I will watch it back and write down every time I made a mistake or every time I could have used a different word. I will sit there and actually analyze my work to get better.
You reflect.
I reflect. If you don't reflect and you just speak, you stay shit.
And by the way, I didn't even notice about this. Like, have you ever seen like something you do all the time and you just don't even notice it? And then somebody tells you and it fucks you up. You're like, oh, damn, dude, I do that. I over-reflect a lot. But here's the thing, dude. I realized this. As soon as he mentioned this to me, I realized how other motherfuckers do not reflect at all.
So if I do a podcast, I will watch it back and write down every time I made a mistake or every time I could have used a different word. I will sit there and actually analyze my work to get better.
You reflect.
I reflect. If you don't reflect and you just speak, you stay shit.
And by the way, I didn't even notice about this. Like, have you ever seen like something you do all the time and you just don't even notice it? And then somebody tells you and it fucks you up. You're like, oh, damn, dude, I do that. I over-reflect a lot. But here's the thing, dude. I realized this. As soon as he mentioned this to me, I realized how other motherfuckers do not reflect at all.
Me and my brother were the kings of COVID. Everyone else now understands it was garbage. Everyone else talks tough. Everyone else has their story about how they went out during COVID.
Now.
But you're tough now. On day one of COVID, day one, when they still had the people falling over in the street in China.
And what was that? That video?
Yeah.
They're just running in the street and dropping dead?
Yep. When the Italian hospital was overrun, day one, my brother and I sat down and had a conversation in our war room, our cigar lounge, which was very similar to this. And we sit down and said, if this disease will kill people like you and I, military-aged males, then the world is over. It's zombie apocalypse. So what are we going to do? And we sat there and decided whether we should hide as long as possible or we should just go out all guns blazing. So we decided to go out all guns blazing like heroes.
What do you want to be known for?
And I think I'll be remembered for somebody who was brave because I know the danger I'm in if I continue to talk. I want people to understand the situation I am currently in. I am the most popular person on the planet amongst the masculine youth, which is the most feared demographic of any country, of any nation. You need them heavily psyoped for a few reasons. One, if a bunch of masculine youth get together, it's not a demonstration, it's a revolution. That's the first thing. If women start complaining with picket boards, it's a demonstration. If masculine youth get together, it's a revolution.